What's up, y'all? Keith Dykes here with W.K.D Construction, and today we're going to change up the video. I'm not going to do a how-to on any type of construction. We're going to do a informative video on mini splits, particularly these, the Samsung. We're going to dive deep into these things because I got a guy that's coming that knows the ins and outs of these Samsung mini splits. His name is Tad Fuller. He works for the premier HVAC company in my area. So I've got some questions wrote down I'm going to ask him, but basically this segment is going to be what are the benefits of using a mini split for me, the contractor. All right, y'all, this is Keith Dykes of W.K.D Construction, and here is the Mr. Tad Fuller of Fuller HVAC, the absolute premier heating company in my area. Today we are going to, like I said earlier, going to talk about the benefits of the Samsung mini split for me, the contractor. So I got some questions wrote down on my phone because I don't do good on the fly, and I'm going to ask Mr. Tad just some questions and get it on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Go check out my channel, Taddy Digest. Taddy Digest, T-A-D-D-Y-D-I-G-E-S-T.
Let's see. Let me put my old man glasses on.
Do it to it.
Go ahead and check out Mr. Tad Fuller on Taddy Digest. He's got YouTube, Instagram, very intuitive channel. Knows a lot of stuff about HVAC just in general, so check him out. He's got some members only stuff and he'll hook you up. So be sure to hit that like and subscribe. All right, so what are some of the benefits to using a mini split system versus a standard duct system?
All right, so the standard duct system is usually a single stage unit. You can get two stage, you can get variable speed, but what's great about mini splits is they are variable speed. They're not single stage, so they don't just come on and pull 100% of whatever the rated breaker is for that equipment. They have an ability to vary the capacity. It's like having a VFD on a motor, a variable frequency drive, or a knob where you can just turn the capacity up whenever you need it. So we're not always going to have 95-degree days, and when we don't, this equipment has the ability to go from 30% upwards of 130%. So even though I've installed a 1-ton unit right here for this section or this area of the home, it'll actually go down to around 3,000 BTUs, and it'll go up past 12,000 BTUs, around 18,000. So that's one reason I choose mini splits over traditional ducted, is because of their ability to modulate. This is a modulating heat pump, so you're able to save energy on those days where it's not 95 degrees. The second reason that comes to mind is not having the ductwork. If you have ductwork in a unconditioned space like a crawl space or an attic, then typically you're losing 20 to 30% of your efficiency because most ductwork is not sealed properly like it needs to be. So you're automatically either pulling hot air from your attic or dirt, dust into your crawl space through your return, but then you're pushing out of your supply where all the ducts are connected, because usually it's not sealed. You're pushing all that supply out, so it's not actually going in your home. So 20 to 30% loss of efficiency with the ductwork, and then we have the ability to save all of that space in our home. So we install these units. Say that we had a homeowner who wanted to have some exposed ductwork because they like that industrial look. Well, now we can see out of our windows in our lake house better because we don't have to see that ductwork. And we just have this little bitty unit on the wall that takes care of our heating and cooling needs.
And like,
so, yeah.
Like me as a builder, I've never seen a set of blueprints that ever allow for a return.
Never.
Placing a unit. So you usually have to do that. Once you start building, you have to set up plans for where am I going to rob space out of this closet for a return, or most houses you're going to have 2 returns, so you're losing that space plus all of the extra duct work that goes underneath the house or in the attic or wherever you're putting it. But you've got to allot for it's a lot of space.
That brings me to another benefit. Most people in their plans, there's no place for a return, there's no place for their equipment. With mini splits, you have your return right here on top. So you don't have to have a place in your plans for that return.
That's cool.
So wherever your unit's gonna go, remember the air pulls in the top, that's the return, and the supply comes out the bottom.
Sweet.
So, yeah.
All right. Let me ask another. What is the furthest length you can run a line set from the condensing unit that sits outside?
Awesome. Okay, so this is a multi-port condenser outside. It's a multi-zone piece of equipment. That means that you have an outdoor unit, and then you have several indoor heads. On this particular system, you can have line set lengths for a single line set up to 98 feet. That's horizontally. Vertically, you can have a vertical separation of about 50 foot. But with our commercial systems where you have upwards of 48 indoor heads and you have 10, 20, 30, 40 ton outdoor units, you can actually run line set lengths over 600-700 feet. So, but that's for commercial. But this residential, 98 feet is the furthest length that we can use.
Okay, cool, dude. How do you size what ton unit and the heads that you need per square footage or whatever?
So typically I use a square foot per ton sizing. When I size for homes, it's usually 500 to 600 square foot per ton. For standard insulation, for foam, it's about 1,000 square foot per ton. But something I do for Minisplits is I go on a website, HVAC Downloads, SamsungHVACDownloads.com, and I look at their technical documents and actually look at the temperature and airflow distribution charts. Because I want to know what size, depending on what size model I use, will depend on how far the air will throw. And I want to make sure that, especially in a foam house, that we get air throughout the home. And the airflow is consistent so that we don't have mold spores or anything settling. And we have any mold growing, we don't want that. So airflow is the key, especially when you have high humidity here in Tennessee. So I use a square foot per ton, and then I also look at the airflow charts. So that's gives you a good idea of my sizing.
All right, you see the foam. So how beneficial is the foam for this type unit, and does it have an impact on the sizing of the unit?
Absolutely. So the sizing definitely changes the sizing because, of course, like I said before, I use a square foot per ton sizing. So where we would be 500 or 600 square foot per insulation, just standard, now with foam, it's 1,000 square foot per ton. So we're cutting our load in half. As far as mini splits, they're great because you can oversize this equipment and it's still not oversized for the home. Foam houses are tight like an envelope, so there's not a lot of infiltration. There's not a lot of thermal loss to the outside when there's 95-degree days. So having the equipment that varies its capacity, having equipment that has an indoor fan that runs most of the time, providing extra airflow, this equipment is so beneficial when you have that tight envelope and you don't need equipment that is running full force 100%. So this equipment is great for foam, and you can oversize this equipment because it varies its capacity.
Okay, so those, I noticed that they run pretty constant. So
Yeah.
That's just a fan basically?
Well, in the cooling mode, the indoor fan runs 24/7. It pulls less than an amp. In the heating mode, the indoor fan will not run until the temperature of this coil reaches 99 degrees.
Okay.
So in heating, they have a temperature actuated, and then in the cooling, it's just because of comfort, because you want a consistent amount of airflow in the cooling mode.
Okay. All right.
So it's great for foam houses where you definitely have to make sure you control humidity. Having airflow is a great way to control humidity.
Okay. Do the heads need power?
Yes, the heads need power. Each indoor unit has a cable. It has a power cable and a communication cable that come directly from the outdoor unit. The outdoor unit has to have a breaker and a wire go to it, and then from the outdoor unit you have a wire and a power cable and a communication cable that come to each indoor unit. And I think it's 14 gauge for the power wire, and I think that it's 16 gauge for the communication wire.
So you don't run any electricity to this besides the communication wire that goes?
And the power cable from the
Right.
outdoor unit.
That goes to you, but you don't run like 120 volt?
No, you don't
regular house wire?
Yeah, you don't have to run this power straight back to the breaker box. It runs to the outdoor unit.
All right, how do you control the temperature with this mini split system?
So on each head, it comes with a wireless remote controller. It's a handheld wireless remote controller, and you can actually control each head for whatever temperature you want. So you can actually run cooling on all 5 heads, but you can set each temperature different.
Oh, okay.
And each wireless remote controller will actually control each indoor head. So even though when you order 5 of these heads, they each have a wireless controller, you can actually use any one of those controllers for the unit. And you don't actually have to have the controller anywhere. You can have the controller anywhere you want. You can hold it right here. This unit actually uses a sensor that's right here on the return to control the actual temperature. So, but it uses a wireless remote controller. You also have options where you can use a wired controller and you can put it wherever you want, and then you can run a communication wire for that. You actually have the ability to use Wi-Fi. You can use your SmartThings app with Samsung. So you can download an app. There's actually a QR code right here on the bottom of each one of these units. You can scan that QR code with your Android or your iPhone, download an app, and then you can actually use it wherever you're at. So
mobile remote control from anywhere.
Yeah, so you got wireless remote controller, you got wired controller, and you got Wi-Fi. So you can use an app with your phone to control this anywhere you're at.
Nice. All right, here's a biggie that would pertain to me as a contractor over the next 10 or 15 years. Do you foresee conventional units using ductwork leaning towards being phased out, say, in the next 10 to 15 years?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm not going to say that it's going to be phased out. I'm just going to say that you're going to see an adoption of mini splits more and more because the manufacturing is ramped up. A lot of people are using this. A lot of people are building smaller houses now because of the price of lumber. You're going to see a lot more smaller houses. You're going to see, because of the housing market and not a lot of houses being for sale, more houses being built. And I definitely think that because number one, it cuts the job time in half, and number two, it's definitely cheaper to go this route. I believe that this is going to be widely spread and in use by a lot of your building contractors in the future for sure, compared to the ducted, just because of the capabilities. And there is a lot of commercial need now, and there's a lot of commercial applications. So you don't just use these for residential application, you use these for commercial and now industrial. So it's going to be a lot of mini splits in the future.
Cool deal.
I got a question for you. All right, so my question is, do you like mini splits?
I do like mini splits. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't used a lot of them.
Okay.
We got to this pool house, which we got a basement, we got upstairs.
Okay.
We could not run ductwork. It was just not feasible to run ductwork at all. So I was a little skeptical on the use of the mini split, but once y'all installed them, it's been running, what, about a week and a half, something like that. It's been 100 plus, humidity is crazy, and man, it is 68 degrees right here upstairs. We get here in the mornings, it's 70 degrees. It's not, they're not even running.
And how many jobs have you had that we've done mini splits on? We've done a lot of ducted.
Majority of mine is always ducted. Unless we do a bonus room or something, then we will get into the mini split just because of the.
So we've done a couple wall mounts, but mostly they've been ducted mini splits because they offer ducted mini splits as well. So glad to hear that, man. I like mini splits. So I hope we can use them on a lot of your jobs in the future, man.
Heck yeah.
So save time, save money, and always make sure that we're oversized and the unit's as efficient as it can be.
Sweet.
So thanks for having me today, man.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it, buddy.
Go like, subscribe, and hit that bell, ding, so you know what he's doing.
That's right.
And leave some comments if you got any questions. If you don't have any questions, that's okay. Tell us who you are and tell us where you're from. Really appreciate you watching. Go check out my channel, Taddy Digest.
Taddy Digest.
Yeah, don't ask me how I came over with that. I'm just kidding.
All right, man. Hey, thanks for watching.